Hello and welcome everyone, I'm Madals and here today I have got a ZvP. It is between two very well-known cool people who stream an awful lot, so these two should be fairly happy, although apparently ResRow is maybe not too happy, thinks he's going to lose, but we'll come into that in a second. Let me first introduce the Zerg player spawning in the lower left position as the red Zerg. It is Evil Genius's IdrA, and I realise I said the red Zerg twice, or at least I think I did. I may be imagining things, but either way, it's definitely the red Zerg in the lower left of Whirlwind. In the lower right position, as the blue Protoss from Team FXO, ResRow. ResRow's a cool guy. He's top 50 GM now. He's pretty awesome. I like him. He's good fun. He's tweeted me a couple of times, and that always makes me instantly like someone. So, if you want me to like you, you should send me a tweet, because it really is that simple. I'm pretty easy like that, but don't tell anyone. So, anyway, what can we be expecting being a PvZ? Well, straight away, Pylon down here on the low ground for ResRow. He's going to go for a wall off most likely. Could even potentially go for a Nexus first. It's one of the maps you can do it. Just being so large, it's safe to do so. IdrA, he can't really risk going for a hatch first though. He's got to go for a 14 or 15 pull into, say for example, a 16 hatch, save his gas, get a relatively quick third, and the third he takes will most likely be this one now, to the north position, just because you don't want to expand towards your opponent, generally speaking. It's never the greatest thing to do, and really ResRow, he's definitely going to be going for that Nexus now, because he would have thrown down the Forge at about 14, 15 at the latest, so unless he's going for some kind of really crazy build, which is like a 16 Forge, which is so incredibly unusual, it's just going to be a 16 Nexus, which is always good fun. And indeed, here we go, coming down with the probe there. So let's talk a little bit about mid-game and what we could be seeing. Well, for a start, IdrA, he's got the option of Roach Hydra. Swarm Hosts are good against Protoss as well, and you can go Swarm Host Corruptor, Swarm Host Hydra. Roaches usually play a critical role, though, in every ZvP, and you tend to see them come down pretty much without fail. Meanwhile, for ResRow, he's got options as well. Sky Toss, very, very good. Oracle openings, or just really Stargate openings as a whole, be it Phoenix or Oracles, great. Big gateway pushes with a Mothership Core, Blink Stalk is effective, so lots of different things going on, and the Mothership Core really does play into it, and that's something that I love, is when you've got these different options, and you've got the ability to have many different playstyles. It's always good fun. And the other thing IdrA could also go for is, of course, Mutalisks. They are in the close by air positions, so that means that you can come in, you can harass around here. Mutas aren't that great on this map, because while you can punish this natural, if you want to come, once the third comes down as well, you can come through and try and poke and prod around in different directions, but generally speaking, there's not that much dead space around the back of the bases, so you can get trapped, and that's not something you really want. But of course, mutas are great due to having such a high health regeneration rate. You can really afford to take a bit of risks, and something that if you get up a decent sized muta flock can be very, very effective. So IdrA, he's taking his third now. It came down at what was, if it will let me select it, it's not going to let me select the time, that's always fun. But yeah, it came down roughly at about just before 4 minutes, about 3 minutes 50 I do believe, so a nice early on spawn, third hatchery, that's always good news. The gases should come down at about 40 to 50 supply, so just due to that, it just means that, well, if you get in close to the 40, you tend to see Zerg players get 2 gas. If it's close to 50, they get all 4 at once, and generally speaking, that's fine. It allows you to get speed out, get a quick lair, get the Roach Warren out, really everything you'll need, and there's not much that a Protoss player can throw at you before that point, especially when they are already so heavily committed to an economical opening, getting this Nexus first. I mean, the Cybercore, it's only just coming down now, so that means no risk of anything like a Stargate, anything similar to that, any Robotics Bay coming out early, a Twilight Council early, all not options, just due to the fact that the Cybercore is only just complete. But we don't have anything researching from the Forge, and this is something that IdrA is going to be keeping a good eye on with these links. He's also got the Overlord just coming out to the side. It can come back in later to make sure that it gets a good read off. The Zed are pushing back the Zerglings at the moment, a nice little move by ResRow. He wants to hide precisely what's happening, because if IdrA doesn't know whether this Forge is researching anything, then he's going to be somewhat in the dark, but he doesn't see any Chrono Boosts coming down on the Cybercore, but does have vision to see Chrono Boosts are occurring on the gateway. So a second Zealot coming out, Stalker as well, and across comes the Mothership Core as well. That's going to really help putting on a bit more pressure. If you knock out a Queen with those 2 Zealots and the Stalker, then guess what? Straight away you're able to do pretty much infinite damage until another Queen gets over there with the Mothership Core, as nothing can shoot up. Injects coming down all over the place. IdrA getting his first 2 gas ups a little bit earlier, so not too soon. He's got our first 100 gas now, goes towards speed. The next 100 gas should go towards lair. Not getting out his Roach Warren quite yet though. So this is just delaying the Roach Warren. We'll probably go double evolution chamber. There we go. So there's the second one, and this is typically speaking, more of an indicator going towards, say, something like Mutalisks, because if you get the double evolution chamber out, you're going to go heavily upgraded Lings into the Spire, and that is a great challenge, and we can see that IdrA already pumping a lot of Lings. Needs to be careful though, because while he has managed to kill off one of those Zealots, there is still the Stalker and Mothership Core there, can easily deal with the Queen, and that is one thing that you do not want going down. The Queen already starting to push down the Mothership Core, always good to focus that, try and deal any damage you can. Enough energy for a mass recall, that's a real key thing, because it means that should Desro want to save these Stalkers, he will be able to. Behind this, he's just getting up more gateways, +1 round weapons. IdrA's speed for Zerglings is about 2/3 done, and he's just having to pump an awful lot of Lings. And if we look at the loss tab, we can see that IdrA's losing about 200 more resources than that of his opponent at this early stage. And in terms of the worker count, is actually behind by 4 still. But getting around to 12 drones, that's going to really start skyrocketing him into the lead. So as we can see, the robotics facility is on its way. 2 additional gateways are going to complete shortly. That'll take the total count up to what should be, if I'm not mistaken, 3 or 4. Nope, it's going to be... Wait, how does this work? What are you doing? Structures. Ah, it's because of warp gates. Okay, 4 gates plus the robo, very, very standard. The third base getting established exceptionally early on as well. And this is just one thing that the Mothership Core allows you to do, is get that really early third base. It does get spotted. There's a cannon down already, though. The Zergling does get stopped, but of course this vision is something that IdrA could try and capitalize on. His lair is coming down. He's getting the 1/1 melee upgrade, so it looks like it's going to be some kind of Mutalisk play, most likely. The Overlord just... Will he get away just? Oh, that lucky Overlord. 5 health points remaining. Meanwhile, we do just have a hallucinated Phoenix getting a good read for Destro. What is IdrA doing? Where's all the units? Is there a third base? Some sentries getting caught out of position here. Not what Destro would have wanted. Gets a good couple of forces. Managed to save the majority of them. I don't actually believe he lost one. He may have done. But still, IdrA, he's getting down his Baneling nest. He's taking down that 4th base, expanding away from his opponent, which is always what you want to do. Also getting the macro hatch. In terms of just the number of worker count, he's up at 62, so he could do with about another 10, 15 more. That would be ideal, and we'll probably see IdrA go up to that point fairly soon in the near future. Meanwhile, Blink is coming down. We've also got the robotics base, so a quick tech up into Blink Stalkers, as well as getting down that Colossus. The Spire just getting started, so 10 minutes for the Spire, not exceptionally late, but then... It's one of those things which you do want to get it quite early on, so you can start building that Mutaflock. All 6 gases are mining. The 7th and 8th gas will probably be taken relatively quickly. IdrA will want to bank up a good number of gas in order to get a decent sized Mutalisk flock fairly early on. Centrifugal hooks also coming down. Baneling speed, really quite useful in dealing with a lot of the ground army. But Baneling's not something you see that often against Protoss, just because against Terran it's great with the infantry. But against Protoss, it doesn't work that well unless you get good engagement angles. But with 2/2 upgrades already coming down and +1 ground armor only just coming to completion now for Desro, he's really got to look what he's wanting to do. And with 3 Stargates, IdrA does need to notice that, because that's when he starts having to think about getting some Hydras out as well as Mutas or Corruptors. So he really needs a lot of anti-air with those 3 Stargates. Air toss very, very strong. Going to be most likely Colossi Void Ray, because it's just incredibly potent, very, very powerful. The Void Rays wreck Corruptors, and if the Corruptors aren't in the picture, then suddenly the Colossi are able to do a lot of damage. These Zealots are going to get surrounded, but they should fare fairly good actually, so not too much of a problem going on here. We can see that they get taken out, but in terms of the resources lost, IdRA's still losing more than his opponent, getting 7 Mutalisks out straight away, building some Spore Crawlers as well. Clearly just a little bit concerned about some kind of air harassment coming in. 11 Mutas now in production, all rallied over towards his opponent's natural base, which does have 2 cannons getting built in it just to make sure that it does get defended relatively nicely. The main doesn't have any cannons though, so that means that IdrA, if he tries to come straight in, not going to have too much fun. If he comes from some kind of side angle, or ideally comes in towards the 3rd, he could do some damage around this area, which would be very, very nice. He's also got quite a few Banelings. His Infestation Pit coming down. A lot of Phoenix coming out, interestingly, which is not something you often see. IdrA hasn't scouted any of these Stargates, so this mass Phoenix is just a response to the Mutalisks, and that's a good response, because if you get a good number of Phoenix out, and ultimately Destro has seen the Spire, then you are able to deal with it. The Mothership Core does get sniped off without losing any Mutalisks there. Good little engagement, but there's a good blink by DesRow. Manages to get a single muta. The Lings coming in though, the Stalkers are out of position and there's not that many of them, so you want to keep them alive for as long as possible. We see now that the single Colossus is taking a lot of damage. The Phoenix though dealing nice amounts of damage to the Mutalisk. The Colossus is getting pulled back. The Banelings are starting to connect, but not quickly enough, and of course most of these Lings will survive, are able to clean up the remainder of the Sentries, which are very, very expensive units, as we all know. The Phoenix coming, chasing down the Mutalisks, the Banelings falling back for the moment. The Colossus did manage to stay up, but it's a 4-base Zerg with a macro hatch against a 3-base Protoss. So IdrA is still in an okay position. He's up at 82 drones to 68 probes. Definitely where you want to be. The Mutas trying to stop these Phoenix killing all of the Overlords. Queen potentially going to get taken out here as well. Doesn't want to bring the other Queen over. That would just be 3 killings, especially with so many Phoenix here. 3 in production at a time. Really going for it. Not Ultralisk, Pathogen Glands for Infestors is coming down. That's going to really help. The Lings are just pushing straight in here. DesRow does have to be fairly careful because lifting Zerglings is not the most efficient use of those Phoenix Gravitoplets. So straight away these Zerglings are doing a lot of damage. They're able to clean out pretty much all of the ground force, and if we look at the loss tab now, even though IdrA's losing more, he's picking up a lot of the high value units that DesRow has in his army. So DesRow now with just 1 Zealot, 12 Stalkers and a lot of Phoenix, but IdrA, seeing this many Phoenix, is just straight away cutting out any of the Mutalisk production. He's only got 8 out, and instead prioritizing getting a lot of Infestors. So Fungal Growth's going to be very effective with these Phoenix clump up, Soul Infested Terrans, and this is just all looking especially nice with the Hive about to complete. So everything coming together. These Phoenix will do a nice amount of damage here, getting some lifts off. The Spore Caller is desperate to try and get a kill, is not going to be able to do so on quite yet, but of course that doesn't matter because IdrA rolling in with the Banelings, running in with the Lings. The Infestors are probably going to start making their way over fairly soon, just waddling into the future. Where are they currently? Where are all of the Infestors, IdrA? What have you done with them all? I know they're around here somewhere. Here they are. So we've got the Infestors just chilling, banking up some energy, being like, hey, I'm going to get some Fungals, and it is going to be Imber. Meanwhile, we've also got the 3-3 upgrades and Adrenal Glands coming out. IdrA's playstyle heavily favouring this very, very upgraded Zergling army, and it's going to pay off as long as he can get good surrounds, and he doesn't allow the Colossi count to get too high. If you get 3, 4 Colossi out, suddenly those Lings aren't going to be as effective. IdrA does have his 5th base as well. That's really helping. It's putting him 2 bases up on his opponent, especially when he decides to start mining from it. That'll be really quite powerful because he's going to have those 10 gas geysers, and that just means that he can pump those high value units. He's getting his Ultralisk Cavern as well. That's great against this sort of army composition, especially with the Infestors. There are a couple of Fungal Growths hitting the Stalkers, preventing them from blinking away, and the Ultras will be able to close up the distance, and they will benefit from the 3-3 upgrades and probably the Chitinous plating as well when it is researched. So everything that IdrA's doing is playing into the greater scheme of things, but DesRow, he is maxed out. He's only got gonna have those 3 Colossi, but he's got a lot of Phoenix, and those Phoenix are gonna mean that the air superiority is firmly in the Protoss favour. Blink goes back, but the Lings coming straight in, doing a nice amount of damage here, and this means that IdrA will have to pull back. He will have to be very, very careful, because as we can see, the Zealot count very, very high. Some Fungal Growths are going down, but the Infestors getting lifted by just so many, and IdrA just leaves the game. It's just like, no. That did not just happen, but great play by DesRow there, just really holding off that aggression early on. IdrA, yet again, just didn't get tier 3 out quickly enough. Going Ultras, you tend to see it a lot earlier on, a lot before the 17-minute 40 mark, which is where we were at the end of that game. So, thank you very much for everyone for watching. I hope you did enjoy. Remember, like the video, leave a cool comment, and of course subscribe, and I hope to see each and every one of you tomorrow for yet another new cast. I'm Madals, bye for now.